let me just level with you about this Nightfall. It's gonna be hell. There's gonna be moments you just want to cut everything off. And let me just warn you, I don't know how strong your fire team friendship is, but it will be tested in this Grandmaster right here. Yes, this Nightfall might be the hardest Nightfall. Like, it's up there, guys. I'm thinking like Corrupted, Grandmaster, Glassway, and now Proving Grounds. Fellas, today we're going to be going over our strat, and we actually took a less offensive strat and went just pure defense. Matter of fact, if Less's Titan was actually leveled up, we would have had 3 Ursa Furiosa Middle Tree Sentinel Titans. Is it overkill? Yes. But everything in this Nightfall can kill you, man. Today, I'm going to present how we did the Nightfall as well as the cheese method. Yes, there is a cheese. Yes, Skyburner's Oath actually has a use for what? But whatever method you do decide to go with to complete this Nightfall, it doesn't matter. Whatever you need to do, fellas, to get to this Nightfall, do it. Now, first, let's talk about Skyburner's Oath, because I know some people are going to ask, what the hell's going on with Skyburners? Well, essentially, you know those domes that appear? They're these Cabal domes, and normally the enemy retreats within that dome, and you have to go in there and shoot out the core and simultaneously hope you don't die in the process. Yeah, you got to deal with one of those at the beginning of the strike and one of those at the end of the strike. Turns out, though, that Skyburner's Oath has a unique ability in which it can penetrate through that Cabal shield, probably due to the fact that its trait is for the Empire, where it penetrates Phalanx's shields. But you can actually sit back from afar and just pepper that core with damage. Now, granted, it's going to take you roughly 3 magazines, so no, you're not going to be saving a bunch of time here, but it will keep you safe. It will allow you to deal with those things from afar. The only downside is you cannot rock anti-barrier rounds for your scout rifle with Skyburner's Oath. For some reason, it breaks that and doesn't allow Skyburner here to effectively cheese through these Cabal shields. Regardless, though, I did use Skyburner's Oath a little bit today. Yes, it was effective. At the same time, not necessary. Actually, the run that we did complete this Nightfall on, we weren't using Skyburners. But a big reason why people are using Skyburners is actually to take advantage of the cheese in the boss room. You see, the boss room has this banner that you can easily jump up to. Upon jumping up to that, you then jump over to that pillar, and then you can jump up to that railing. Now, this platform is not completely solid. It's like checkerboard in a way. There's gaps there where you can fall through. It's kind of annoying getting back up top, but you can get back up top. The main benefit from being up here is, yes, it does pick you up out of the boss's area and allows you to dodge the boss's attacks, at least somewhat. The boss actually has 2 different attacks. It spawns these orange balls that can track you, and yes, it can track you through invisibility. The boss can also do a direct attack, which is like this purple sphere that pretty much can one-bang you. You can kind of avoid both of those, but because this area is like almost out of bounds, it's kind of hard to get an angle. But if you got nothing but time and you want to just cheese your way to victory, you can stay up top, place a few anarchy shots onto the boss, and even when the boss does spawn that dome, you could sit back with Skyburner's Oath, shoot the dome out, and then proceed to do damage to the boss afterwards. Now, there are champions that do spawn, and you need to be careful here and not miss one of these champions, because the last thing you want to do is get to the end of this Nightfall, do all this work, spend the next 40-45 minutes trying to complete this damn thing, and then not get platinum. So keep in mind, every time one of these domes goes up, 2 champions spawn. And I think like 2 more at the end. I don't know. I'm losing track, man. But for those that are cheesing, there's actually another cheese spot that's like to the left. I think Cheese Forever put out a video on it. That one's not bad either, because I feel like you have a better angle on that back dome area. So yeah, you can use that area, walk around up there. Again, normally I don't promote cheesing Nightfalls, but at the same time, this is an incredibly hard Nightfall. So I completely understand if anybody wants to cheese their way to victory, especially considering that Adept Pally is the drop this week, and we all want a God Roll Adept Pally. Luckily, it is double loot, which makes up for that large time investment you're going to need in order to complete this Nightfall. Now, the rest of this guide is for those that want to do this thing legit. And by legit, we're going to start with Ursa Furiosa. Fellas, normally, you'd never need more than 1 Ursa. Ursa, all on its own, is strong enough. Ursa in guard, the ability to block, shields your teammates, get your super energy back. It's nasty. However, this is one of the few Nightfalls, if not the only Nightfall, that I'm actually recommending 2 Ursas. Now, granted, you don't have to rock 2 Ursas. If you want to just play off of a well or a bubble, or if you want to go with a more offensive subclass, go right ahead. But if you want to make life easy on yourself, 2 Ursa Furiosas will enable back-to-back supers being popped, back-to-back shielding and invincibility, thus keeping you and your teammates alive. Now, the modifiers for this week's Nightfall are pretty much the same as they always are. We do have unstoppable champions and barrier champions. Scorch Earth is also a modifier, which is the most annoying modifier we could ever have against Cabal. Enemies throw grenades significantly more often. Fellas, if you get stuck by a grenade, you're probably dead. Les was actually rocking Omnioculus with bottom tree tether. He would actually invis us if we got stuck, and you may be able to survive a sticky grenade from a Cabal. And yes, that was actually with me rocking a number of things that should have kept me alive. Solar resistance, concussive dampener. But fellas, I was still getting wrecked by these grenades. I gotta tell you, everything in this Nightfall is super tanky and super lethal. And everything, I mean everything, will kill you. So 2 Ursa Furiosas, a bottom tree tether is what we rocked. Now, the bottom tree tether, we were trying to take advantage of invis for those moments we needed to go invis and move around the boss room. Again, we were doing this legit. However, I think pretty much any offensive super would have been fine here, whether it was Chaos Reach, a Revenant Hunter. We even talked about possibly doing 3 Ursa Furiosas and just tanked our way through this entire Nightfall. Now, the weapons of choice that I was taking advantage of is, of course, Eye of Soul. Mine comes with Vorpal, Field Prep, combining that with anti-barrier rounds for sniper rifles. Also taking advantage of the Pulse Rifle Last Perdition, mainly because there are a lot of Void Shields you're gonna have to deal with. And there's actually a rainbow in this Nightfall. Solar Shields, Arc Shields, as well as Void Shields, but definitely more Void Shields. We're also using Anarchy, of course, which is just great for ammo economy. And by the way, for those that are gonna be cheesing, if you expend all of the ammo that you have on you, literally just shoot it all out to 0, give it a few minutes and Bungie will bless you with ammo, like literally. Now, consider survivability was so important. We were, of course, taking advantage of the mod Protective Light, which was extremely beneficial, always is, but considering everything in this Nightfall can one bang you, fellas, you need it. And since we're trying to keep our distance from all these enemies, the artifact mod Sundering Glare is extremely helpful. Now, let's actually start from the beginning of this Nightfall. I'm actually just gonna let this play out. I'm gonna talk to you while this goes on. You wanna start from this left side, work your way up, and start looking for the turret. That turret will wreck you and your fire team so fast. You wanna deal with that turret and start dealing with the ads. But again, kind of stay on this cliff side. Keep your distance. Barely peek over. Everything can kill you, man. Now, you're going to have to deal with a barrier champion as well as an unstoppable champion. Again, make sure you deal with them before moving on to the next phase of this Nightfall, as you definitely want to make sure you get platinum. But still stay to this left side, guys. Move up together as a team and play oh so careful. Like, think of yourself as just the most delicate flower in this Nightfall. And at any moment, that Cabal will bend you over and tear that beautiful flowery ass up. Not only that, you are a flammable flower. A Cabal does lots of solar damage. So again, I cannot stress enough how keeping your distance from everything is vitally important. But you got Thick Boy right here, and you got to deal with him before moving on inside of the tank. After dealing with the ads around him, though, as well as the champion, more ads will spawn from that main gate, including an unstoppable champion. Again, keep your distance, stay very far away from everything, deal with this champion, deal with those ads, and then proceed to look back at Thick Boy. Now, Thick Boy can mess you up really fast as well, but I just throw on a couple anarchy shots, back off, and quit dealing with him. Upon getting him to half health, though, he will dip into that dome. Now, don't get too sidetracked with that dome, as ads are spawning behind you, as well as an unstoppable champion. Deal with them. I found that just a well-placed grenade actually primed him up pretty good. A couple anarchy shots on the unstoppable, you're good to go. Then move up into the dome area. If you're not rocking Skyburner's Oath, proceed to shoot it out from the inside. And feel free to use your super here if you need to. Your Ursa Furiosa Titan, if you want to pop your super right here, go right ahead. We were taking advantage of like Les's invisibility here to just go in and pop a few shots off. You actually can go in there and just place an anarchy shot. It'll do its rotation of damage, and I think it's like 1 shot afterwards. And you actually place it directly on that centerpiece. Upon dealing with Thick Boy, though, move inside, and now comes the very, very fun part. Now, you'll have to go through a few ads, but then you'll get to like this garage area. Now, the garage is kind of cute. It has 3 interceptors, which are the most annoying things to ever deal with inside of Destiny. Like, hands down, these Scions are a thing of nightmares, and that's simply because the Scions in the interceptor have void shields. On top of that, the interceptor itself can easily one bang you instantly. Like, you can't even dodge it. Now, the way to deal with these interceptors, you have a couple ways. You can either just blow up the interceptor. Like, I used a rocket launcher a few times and just blew it up. Did like void damage. Some people said that you can just place a couple anarchy shots on them. Other times, I would just shoot my primary, break the shield of the Scion, and just proceed to snipe the Scions out. Now, really, the only way you can do this is by standing on that middle platform area, which is what we're doing. Again, if you're rocking Ursa Furiosa, you're blocking, and you want to be be in the middle of everything. You want every ad in the house blasting their load into your face, as that will give you your super back even faster. But staying up there, at least for the interceptor on the left and on the right, I'm still able to get an angle on them and snipe them out. It's the back interceptor that's going to be the most annoying one. Now, deal with all the ads in front of you, and believe me, there is a ton of ads. Pretty much every time one Ursa Furiosa was going down, another Ursa was being popped, and we were just doing this over and over and over again. Is it necessary? Probably not. Did it make life easier on us? Hell yes. Now, upon dealing with all these ads, including that far back interceptor, which is in the back, which is by far the most annoying. Like, you might want to just blow up that interceptor as landing shots on them, which your primary weapon is an absolute nightmare. But upon clearing the room, it's advised to go to that back left corner. And that's simply because you've got that panel on the right that kind of blocks off some of the damage that's coming towards your fire team. And that's because you're going to have 2 tanks in the room with you. 2 tanks! As well as a number of ads in the middle. It's quite chaotic. Now, we did try a number of strats here where we like went up to the top area, that top platform, and like instantly killed the tanks the moment they came out. And if you're fast enough and you're taking advantage of things like Sunder and Glare, you can do that. The problem is, up there, that top area, ads do spawn behind you, which can easily mess you and your fire team up. Like, Ursa Furiosa is blocking everything in front of you, but doesn't necessarily protect you from behind, which is important. We found playing there to the ground level at that bottom left, trading in and out with Ursa Furiosa, which is easier, was safer for us. And again, that's the thing about this Nightfall. This is not a speed running Nightfall, at least not to my knowledge. I haven't figured it out. I'd be surprised if anybody breaks 20 minutes on this thing. But dealing with those tanks, dealing with all the ads, and yes, there is a lot of champions in this room. Upon dealing with all those guys, now takes us to the next few rooms. Now, these next few rooms, even though they're not as hectic as the garage, they're still pretty damn hectic. Like, they will mess you up quite fast. I highly advise not to conserve your super. This is pretty much the theme of this entire Nightfall. Super, chaining into the next super, chaining into the next super, over and over again. And pretty much anywhere you see a doorway, especially in these next few rooms, on the other side of that door is death. You will have lots of Cabal ready to kill you the moment those doors open up. And be careful, guys. Like the gladiators that can melee you, they can melee through Ursa. They don't do any damage to you, but anyone that's standing behind you, that's standing too close, those gladiators in their cleavers can actually go past the banner shield, make contact, and still kill all of your fire team members, which really sucks considering that the banner shield here with Ursa Furiosa and its time duration is really dependent on your fire team members being close to you, alive. Also, you do have a number of turrets. Blocking with the banner shield against turrets doesn't really equate well. Like, for some reason, the turrets just absolutely shred the shield and just melt your super bar. So I highly advise engaging the turret quickly for your Ursa Furiosa Titan, just so that their super can last longer. Now, you have to transfer those orbs of power or whatever to like that console area. The one room in this entire section that will really sneak up on you is actually the furthest room there. You're dealing with the ads. Everything's going normal. Things are fine. Sometimes, and this happened to us just once, after killing the yellow bar enemy in front of us, the door behind us immediately opened and there was like 6 gladiators and a number of other Cabal ready to just break it off into you. So just be careful. The way the enemies are laid out in this strike, even though Cabal are like these big giant space turtles, it's amazing how sneaky these bastards are. And again, like I said, what the thing was a second ago, chaining super after super after super is the goal here. Even if there's like a moment where you're like, oh, but there's only a couple ads here. Do I really need to pop my super? Yes, because that one ad will 1v3 your fire team. It happened to us so many times today. And if you're worried about not having your super for the final boss room, you actually get your super back upon initiating the fight in the boss room. So feel free to use your super as much as you want here. The goal is for my Ursa Furiosa Titans to constantly be chaining supers back and forth to each other. And whoever the third is, whether rocking Well, Chaos Reach, Revenant, Night Stalker, they just need to purely top your supers off when you need it. Now, the boss room. The big room. This room right here can easily take you, roughly 10 minutes or so, and probably even longer with the cheese. As just getting angles on the boss as well as the champions can be a little difficult. We actually found that doing it legit for us was just easier. It was hectic, but still easier than the cheese, because the cheese, a champion would like go off to the side and we couldn't get an angle on them, and we would overexpose ourselves trying to kill the champion. And the result would be the boss would just kill us, we would be in a bad spot. The rest of our fire team couldn't get us up. Yeah, now there's probably a way to maneuver around up there where you can possibly get a better visual. But if you are looking to do this legit, stay there by the entrance to the left or the right. Doesn't really matter. And just sit there and tank for you and your fire team. The boss can still somewhat get an angle on you with both of her attacks. Again, you kind of gotta like dodge the purple attack, but the orange boss, you can actually shoot them out before they get to you. Now, if you're rocking Ursa Furiosa, that doesn't really matter, as the Titan will just tank all of this damage and you can just sit back with ease doing DPS. And we just place a couple anarchy shots on the boss and just continue to stay in cover. Now, where things start to get hectic is upon reaching that second bar of health on this boss. She'll step back into that dome area, and there's a couple ways you can handle this. Since we are rocking double Ursa Furiosa and we're not really doing the Skyburner's Oath method, we would just move up as a unit. I would continue to block even into that dome area, and Lesson Bombad would go over there and do damage to that centerpiece. And then we would just back up to the same area we were doing damage at. You can go invisible, run up there and place an anarchy shot and do some damage. Unfortunately, the orange boss can still track you through invisibility, so keep that in mind. However, whoever it is that's like taking the attention of the boss, if it is your Titan rocking Ursa Furiosa, they could probably just sit back, keep the attention, aggro those orange balls, as well as the purple one-hit kill shot, and your teammate can run up and pop those domes. The first dome is really not that difficult. It's the second one that gets kind of sketchy. And again, throughout this, champions are spawning. You will have a number of unstoppable champions. I believe it's like 2 each time you go into one of these new damage phases. They'll spawn, and I highly advise before engaging the boss again, deal with those champions first. Now for the second dome, this was kind of complicated because it is further up there. It requires you and your team to be moving together, which we did. However, we did have a few casualties in the process. Upon popping this dome though, all hell kind of breaks loose, right? You can't really stay up here on this platform because I'm pretty sure it can burn you, which really sucks because everywhere in this Nightfall puts you in a situation where you do not have the high ground, which I'm a big fan of high ground. Now, this part is really hectic, and I have not found a way to truly perfect it, at least legitimately, because essentially the boss will just start to chase you down. And it's just ready to kill you and your entire fire team. And you got champions to deal with. I mean, it's just really chaotic here, guys. I wish there was a better way to get through this phase other than me just telling you run like hell and do as much damage as you can when you can safely do it. But for the most part, you might just be running a lot. Luckily, the boss here is kind of slow. Yeah, she's got a lot of abilities that can pretty much one-bang you. But as far as her aggro ability, if she's on one side of the room, you could run to the other side of the room. And you just kind of keep going back and forth doing that. Is it ugly? Yes. This entire Nightfall strategy overall, it's just ugly, man. There's no way around it, but it gets it done. So guys, that is your Nightfall guide. I get the feeling like within the next day or so, we're going to be playing around a little more and we're going to come across a much more optimal method. This is like the safest strategy I know of. 2 Ursa Furiosas, and I even heard people saying 3 Ursa Furiosas. It's just stupid easy. I know it's a bit overly tanky, but if you're looking to just secure your way through this Nightfall, I would definitely suggest having at least 1 or 2 members of your fire team rocking Ursa and chaining supers one after another. Well, fellas and ladies, thank you all for coming and watching, and as always,
slap that like button like your mama told you right.